Hello, good evening and welcome to this special edition of Look North. When Joanne Nelson disappeared on Valentine's Day, her fiancé Paul Dyson wept and pleaded for her return. But in fact, he'd strangled her in cold blood. And today he pleaded guilty to her murder. Tonight, the full story of this family tragedy. We hear from Joanne's best friends who tell us about the happy, home-loving girl who was looking forward to married life. But Paul Dyson was a man with a violent past who'd already attacked his first wife. You'll see how Dyson cruelly deceived Joanne's family and hear his 999 call as he lied to police about her whereabouts. Also tonight, the unprecedented police search for Joanne and the incredible forensic work that finally led detectives to the isolated woodland where Paul Dyson had dumped her body. But first to 94 Hotham Road North in Hull, an ordinary family home in a suburb of Hull. But 9 months ago, the scene of a violent murder. Paul Dyson strangled Joanne Nelson, the girl he said he loved and was planning to marry. Well, our reporter Joe Makel has followed this case from the beginning, and Look North has been given exclusive access to those affected by this tragedy. Over now to Joe Makel, who is at Hotham Road North. Joe, it's been an extraordinary day. Just tell us what happened in court.
It was an extraordinary day, Peter. It was only a very short hearing. It lasted less than 3 minutes, but it was a very significant hearing. 9 months ago, Joanne Nelson was reported missing from her home here behind me in Hotham Road North, and it was Paul Dyson who was the one that made that 999 call. But all along, he said that while he did kill her, it was manslaughter, that he never intended to do her any harm. Today, for the first time, he admitted his guilt and said that he was guilty of her murder.
What was the atmosphere like in court when that happened?
Extremely tense and extremely emotional, as you might imagine. There were obviously a number of people from Joanne's family and her friends who were in court to hear Paul Dyson enter this plea. Her mother Jean was sobbing throughout the whole of the hearing, and her sisters Katie and Janie also found it very difficult to hold back the tears. Her father Charlie found it impossible to remove his gaze from Paul Dyson throughout.
I think Dyson's behaviour throughout all this has been thoroughly despicable. He built the family's hopes up for a period of the full week from reporting him missing on the Monday, right through to the Friday when he was arrested. He was with the family, gave them assurance, claimed to be giving them support, spent some time with the family, and all throughout that time he knew just what he'd done. He knew he'd killed their daughter, and he knew that he dumped their body in woodland at Bransby, and yet he was still there with the family, giving them that hope and assurance.
That's Ray Higgins from the police. Did Joanne's family say anything after today's hearing?
They haven't, Peter. As you might imagine, they were extremely distraught despite his guilty plea, but they are in a very emotional state. We understand them from the police that they were getting the help of a family liaison officer to try and cope with today's events, but Ray Higgins gave the reaction there really on behalf of everybody.
What about Dyson himself? Did he react in any way?
He did. When he was about to give his guilty plea, there was a slight hesitation in his voice, and after he had given it, he sat down with his head in his hands. He was constantly sort of rubbing his eyes and unable to create any kind of eye contact either with the family or with the judge.
Joe, thank you very much indeed. Well, later in the programme we'll hear about Paul Dyson's history of violence and hear how his ex-wife lived in fear of attack. Joe will also have a report about the lies that Dyson told to the police and Joanne's family. But before that, let's learn more about Joanne herself, the happy, home-loving young woman her family knew. Her best friends have spoken exclusively to Look North.
She was so genuine and down to earth.
Always funny, always tried to turn a situation around, making you laugh all the time.
She loved Chesney Hawks, obsessed with Chesney Hawks and
Wham. Yeah, Wham. We used to dance to Wham, Your Man, didn't we?
And we took it abroad with us, didn't we, that? Greatest hits, I think. Whenever we go out and, you know, we've had a few drinks, we always have a drink for Jo. I absolutely hate Blue Wicked, but I always try and get a Blue Wicked down because that was Joanne's favourite drink.
She once said to us, I could never have a birthday party because not enough people had come. And then when we was at the funeral, you know, there was just so many people that loved Joanne, and that, you know, nobody could fit in, and it's just that. Just what does that tell you? You know, Joanne was a brilliant person, and everybody loved her. Very family orientated, definitely.
Even though she moved out, she was there. Paul all the time. She's had